In this video, I'll show you how to fully automate green screen news videos for TikTok and Instagram, perfect for building authority in your niche or to sell to clients. This system automatically pulls breaking news from blogs and RSS feeds, takes a screenshot of the article, generates a script, creates the AI video, and captions the video so it's ready to post. If you or your clients have been struggling to put out consistent content, this video is for you. Let's get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the build. I have an empty workflow right here, and I'm going to start with an empty Airtable base. I'm going to go ahead and edit this and make this a video ID. I like to have an auto number field here for the first column, and I usually sort it backwards, so we always have our most recent video at the top. For this first section here, what I want to start with is the actual video generation. And the only thing we really need for this is the URL to download. So we need some sort of URL that has a blog or a news article that we can use to actually create the video script. So we're going to start here, and then later on in the video, I'll show you the automation that actually helps you download and get a list of all those articles. But first, let's just start with how to convert the article into the AI video, generate the video, and overlay the video on the screenshot, and then add the captions. So for that, we're going to go ahead and add in a URL. So this will be our article URL. And then we are obviously going to need a place to store our screenshot. So I'm going to add a field for the screenshot. That's going to be the screenshot of the article so that we can overlay the video on top of it. Then we're going to need a place to put the AI video. Then we'll need a combined video, which is going to be the AI video on top of the screenshot. And then finally, we're going to need the captioned video, where we actually add the captions to that combined video. So again, we need the URL so we can get the news text. Actually, that means that we need to also get the article text. And then from the article text, we'll need to generate the script, video script. So we have the text, the screenshot, the video script, then we generate the AI video, then we generate the combined video, and then we caption the video. So we have all of the rows that we need. So first I'm going to grab an article here and add it into our database. I'll delete these rows here. And now we can jump back to our automation, and I'm going to add an Airtable action here. We'll go ahead and just search the records. I'll come back here and rename this to AI Breaking News YouTube Demo. That way I can find it here. You'll need to set up a connection to Airtable. I'll go ahead and search through my bases here, news, and then for tables, let's rename this to videos. And so now if I go ahead and execute this step, we should see it return our video here. We have the record ID, created time, the video ID, and the article URL. And so now in my original automation here, you can see that we have a switch here, which takes our automation down a different path depending on what stage of the automation we're in. The first stage is we need to actually grab the article from the blog. And I did use a tool called Firecrawl, and I'll explain why when I get there. But let's go ahead and keep moving. We'll move this over. We'll add a switch. And so what we need to do here is, depending on what is missing in our row, we need to go down that path to create it. So when we opened up this first row here, all we have is the article, but we don't have any of the other values. So we're missing the actual article text and also the screenshot. So basically in our automation here, what we want to do is, if we don't see the article text, then we want to go down that first path. So let's come here, and I'm just going to take one of these existing variables here, and I'm just going to change it to article text. And then we'll come over here and we'll say is string does not exist. So if I execute this step, then it's going to go out the first path. And then we're going to add some other routes as we go, but we'll go ahead and build out this first route here first. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to add an HTTP call. And I'm going to go ahead and copy what I have here. And I'm going to use this tool called Firecrawl. And this is a pretty cool tool. This is a tool that will search and scrape any website, and it will extract the data so that you can use it in an LLM, in a RAG database, something like that, I encourage you to check out this tool. In this case, I'm going to use it just to scrape the data. And the reason why I use this tool is because it's really good at extracting the text from any website. Now, without getting into too much detail, websites render text in different ways. So some just supply the text right when you load the web page. Other blogs will render the page and then they will send you the text later on using JavaScript. When the website sends you the text later in JavaScript, some of the other scrapers don't do as well at grabbing that data. But what I found was that Firecrawl was very consistent in being able to extract the text from any website. So that's why I used Firecrawl. So we're going to use a post, and I'm going to go ahead and just take this URL here. Change this to post. I'll cut and paste the URL there. For authentication, I'm going to go ahead and use generic credential type, header auth, and Firecrawl. Again, of course, you'll need to create a new account, get your API key, and you'll need to set up that credential. I'll go ahead and click send body. We're going to send a JSON, and we're going to use a JSON. I'm going to copy this text straight from here. It's very simple. Drop that into this section here. I'm going to expand this just so you can see exactly what to put here. I am going to need to fix this placeholder here. We're going to use this article URL. I happen to call it something else in my original automation. Drag this right here. And again, all you have to do is make sure to copy this exactly as I have it here with the curly braces and the quotes and the colon and the quotes and everything else here. If you follow that exactly, everything should be fine. And that should be all you need so that you can go ahead and execute that step. Now what it's doing is it's going to this URL and extracting all of the text, and we're getting that returned to us here as Markdown. Next up, we're going to go ahead and use another HTTP call to get the screenshot. In this case, I'm going to use a tool called Appify. I'm going to be using this actor here called the website screenshot generator. Again, you'll need to create your own account, but you should be able to try this for free just to experiment. Most of the tools, if not all of them in this video, have a free trial that you'll be able to use. Again, we're using a post method, and I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this URL here. You can find this URL inside of the actor itself. If you try for free, you can actually grab this same URL right from here, copy to clipboard, or you can copy exactly what I have here. It looks like in my example here, I'm passing the token and the API key directly in the URL, which does work, but it's definitely not as secure. So feel free to use proper authentication and create your credentials here and use that instead. Again, I'm going to change this method to post, going to send body, change the specific body type to using JSON. Then I'll come back here and simply copy and paste the payload here into this section here. And there's a few different settings here. Make sure to copy this exactly as I have it. If you do, it will work. I do need to replace this one placeholder here. Again, from the original article URL from Airtable, we'll copy that in right here. And now we should be able to execute this step as well. And here we go. So we have a screenshot URL. I should be able to take this here and simply put it into my browser. And now you can see we have a screenshot of the full length of that entire blog article. Now, someone inside of my community, the No Code Architects, did ask me if it would be possible to automatically scroll the screenshot as the video was playing, the AI video down in the corner. I believe that's totally possible if that's something that you wanted to do. Make sure to leave a comment in the video if that's something that you'd like to see. Now from here, what we need to do is just use OpenAI to generate our script. We're going to message a model. You'll need to set up your credentials for OpenAI. For this model, I'll go ahead and just use 4.0. I've got a simple prompt here that I'll copy over. I'll give you a chance to look at that and copy it for yourself. Then I simply need to grab the text and the markdown from Firecrawl and add it to the bottom. And we'll go to our Firecrawl section and we'll drop this in right here. So we're just going to convert the following article or blog into breaking news, starting with breaking AI news. In my case, I was creating articles for breaking AI news. You can change it to suit yourself or one of your clients, or leave it the same if you're in the AI space. Now we should be able to go ahead and execute that and generate our script. And now we have the content for our script as well. And now the final piece is we just simply need to write all of this new information back to Airtable here so that we can move on to the next step where we create the AI video, combine it, and then add the captions. So I'll come here and we'll do Airtable, update record. We'll go ahead and select the base for news, table, videos. Now we just need to add the ID from the original Airtable record. We don't need to update the article URL, so I'll remove that. Article text, we grab that here. So I'll go ahead and drop that into the database, and then we'll also drop in the screenshot. Here's the screenshot URL here. And then we need to fill out the video script from OpenAI, and we can drop that in from the message, content, and there we go. So now we can go ahead and test this step as well. So we did get an error here because inside of Airtable, when we use an attachment field, this is actually an array. So if we want to use it that way, we need to format the input a little bit differently. I'm going to come into the expression here. Actually, let's just open it up so we can see it a bit better. And I'm going to wrap the string, the URL here for the screenshot, in an array. And you do that by adding these brackets here that indicates that it is now an array. And then inside that, we need to add 2 brackets on the outside as well. This is going to turn it into an object. And then we also need to come here and add a string for URL and a colon. And now we have the proper format for adding a screenshot URL into an attachment field. Should be able to run this without issue. There we go. We come back to Airtable. Here we now have the article text. We have the screenshot that has been added. We also have the video script. And now we can continue on and finish off the AI video, the combined video, and the captioned video. All right, so we're making good progress. Now let's come back to our automation here. So now when we run this the next time, we want to process a different state. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and move it up. And so now if we come back to our database here, we are going to have the article text. So it's no longer going to go down that first path because this is going to exist. So now we want to add another route. And in this case, what we want to look for is the AI video missing? And then you can see we'll look for, is the combined video missing and the captioned video? So let's go ahead and build out those various switches now. So this time I'm going to go ahead and run this, execute workflow. You're going to see that it didn't go down this path here because the article now does exist. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3 more routes. Let's go ahead and just add those now for later. We can go ahead and copy in this and we'll just change it. So that'll be ready for us when we get there. String does not exist, string does not exist, and string does not exist. And the first one we're looking for is AI video. Then combined video, and then captioned video. All right, so now when I execute this step, it's now going out of this here, which is expected. So here what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a call to HeyGen. HeyGen is a AI video service that allows you to send a script, and then using one of your avatars, it will actually generate a video of you talking. So in my case, I created an avatar that has a green screen ready to roll. And I'll talk more about how to build this at the end of the video. What I recommend is just watching the video all the way through and then getting some of those details later when you want to rebuild this for yourself. Because it's going to help to have seen how all of this works before you actually try to build it. So as always, we're going to need to make another HTTP call. It will be a post. I'm going to go ahead and grab this URL here. You can go ahead and copy it as well. And for testing, potentially you could use an existing avatar that is already there. You can get a free account and run this without paying. Just keep in mind, you will only get to do a few tests before they ask you to pay. For the authentication, I'm going to use generic credential type, header off, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my HeyGen credentials. We're going to go ahead and send a body, JSON, and using JSON. And I'm going to copy what I have in my previous built out example. Now, again, you're going to want to copy this just as I have it. If you took a screenshot and put this into ChatGPT, it would probably do a good job at giving you exactly what you need, and you could copy it from there. There's a few variables here that I do need to change. For the avatar ID, I'm going to come over to HeyGen. I'm going to jump into my avatars, and I'm going to copy the avatar ID. We'll drop that right here. For the voice ID, I need to do the same thing. I'll jump over to the voice ID. I'll grab the voice ID. We'll drop that here. I actually increased the speed of my avatar video because it was talking a bit slow, so I went to 1.2. If you're using a free account, you might need to lower the dimensions. I believe these dimensions require a paid account. I believe that would be 1280 by 720 if you're using the free account. Now for the callback ID, we're gonna need to come back down to Airtable, and I'll show you how to use this in just a moment. I'm gonna replace this with the record ID from Airtable for this particular row. And now for the callback URL, I'm gonna jump back over to Airtable. I'm gonna jump into the automations here, and I'm going to create a new automation. I'm gonna add a trigger. We're gonna go when webhook received. And now I'm gonna take this URL here, and I'm gonna copy it into our automation right here. So now we should be good to go, but before I run this, I'm actually gonna come back to Airtable, and I'm just gonna make this script a lot shorter so that it doesn't use as many credits and it generates the video much faster. So I'm gonna come back and just rerun this search here, and then rerun the switch so that in here we have a much shorter script. There we go. So from here, you should be good to go. Now we can go ahead and execute this step. Looks like there are no errors. If I jump over to HeyGen, go to the home, refresh, we can see that it's actually generating a video. Now, when it's done generating that video, it's gonna use this webhook URL that we added here to send us the video. Now, it's also gonna send us a screenshot of that video. So we're gonna have to filter that out as it comes. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna wait here. And as soon as it's done creating that screenshot and the video, it's gonna send that to this webhook here. So then we can process it and then add it back to the field here. And if you get impatient, you can always come back over here and just kind of see the overall process of that video being generated. Jump back to Airtable. So we can see here that it was able to generate the video. Actually, this is not the video. Again, this is the GIF. So the first thing that we're seeing here is the GIF. So we don't really want this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add some conditional logic, and we're going to use the first step here, the body, and we're going to use the event type. And so what we're looking for is a different event type. So I'm going to go ahead and test the trigger again. Okay, so now we have the actual video. So this is what we want to filter for, avatar video.success. I'm going to copy that, bring it back to the conditions here, is, put that here, is, okay. So now we can test this condition. It's going to move forward. And now what we can do is we can go ahead and update the Airtable row, table, videos, record ID. Now what you're going to find is in the event data, they're going to send us back using that callback ID, the record ID of the row we want to update. So again, that's why we sent this callback ID with that record ID so that when it comes back to us, we know which row to update. Because down the road, you're going to have lots of different rows to work with. So now we just need to go to the fields here. We're going to go to the AI video, and we are going to select the URL of the video, run as configured, run test. Don't worry about those errors. It's just saying that it's not able to show you these values in this particular screen. Now, if we jump back to this section here, we've got that video. We should be able to open it up, and there is the video.
Breaking AI news. Revolution in AI agent development. Build your own with N.
All right, so we're good to go. Only 2 more steps to take in order to complete the actual video. So let's keep moving along. Now, if we come back to our automation and we run Airtable again, we do the search. Now this time we are going to have the AI video. So it's not going to go down this first path or this second path. Let's go ahead and see where we're at. We've got an error. Let's go check out what the error is. So now the AI video here is actually an array. So instead of using a string, we're going to come here and go to array does not exist. I believe that will fix the issue. So now it's going to this next output here. Let's go ahead and tidy up the workspace. Let's actually move this up a bit. We'll move this up a bit. Now we're going to work on this next path here. And so now what we need to do is we need to overlay the video here on top of the screenshot. So now in order to overlay that avatar video on top of the screenshot, we're going to use a free tool called the No Code Architects Toolkit. This is actually an API you can deploy on the cloud. It's totally free to download and use that will give you access to tons of different abilities to work with video, merging video, generating captions. We're going to use this to generate the captions at the end of this video as well. It does a bunch of stuff. I encourage you to go through the documentation and just see what it's able to do. It's able to transcribe videos, convert videos, create MP3s. I will show you how to install this near the end of the video. But what I recommend is watching this video through to the end and just getting a sense of how all of this comes together. Then you can come back through here and use the install video at the end and then put it all together for yourself. So again, I'm going to go ahead and use the HTTP module. Again, we're going to change this to post. I'll open this up so I can copy over the values. In this case, I'm going to grab this URL here. This section of the URL will be replaced with the server that you deploy it to. And then you'll add on this final section here, which is calling a special endpoint that is going to allow us to overlay that video on top of the image. Drop the URL here, authentication, generic, header auth, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my NCA Toolkit credentials. We're going to go ahead and send body. I'll jump back over here and we're going to cut and paste what I have here. We'll change the specific body to JSON. We'll drop in the values. We'll open this up and make any modifications. So again, you're going to want to copy this exactly as I have it here. But the magic of this one call is that it's going to take this AI video green screen. It's going to remove everything that's related to the green screen. We're also going to position the video down in this portion of the video. We're going to have the screenshot here and then the video here. So this one API call is going to take care of all of that for us. It's a really cool tool. I really encourage you to check it out. So the first thing we do need to do is, again, we need to replace this ID with the record ID from Airtable. Scroll down, drop this here. We're going to need another webhook in Airtable to receive the video when it is complete. So we'll jump back to Airtable, go to the automations. You can go ahead and turn on the automation that we already created. Add another automation here, add a trigger. When webhook received, we're going to take this webhook again, we're going to copy it, drop it into our automation. Now I do need to change this here because in my original automation here, I was putting the URL of the screenshot. In this case, for whatever reason, I used an attachment field, which is going to have a slightly different format. So I'm going to erase that. Even though it was green, it's actually wrong. So we're going to go into the screenshot. I'm going to take this URL here, drop it right there. And it looks like it already has the right AI video. So now just to go over this just a bit so that you understand is that this tool here, the No Code Architects Toolkit, is using a free tool called FFmpeg. And it just allows you to do a lot of different video manipulation, image manipulation. It's a totally free tool. And what we did is we took this tool and we packaged it into an API that you can deploy on a low-cost server, and the tool itself is free so that you can do this type of work. And essentially what it's doing is it's doing some cropping to make sure that the image is in the right spot and the video is in the right spot, and that also we took out the green screen and overlaid it on top of the image. And it's doing that all in one command using all of these different values here. So now we should be able to execute this step. Again, just go ahead and watch through the video here so you understand what's going on, and I'll show you how to install this toolkit at the end of the video. It's processing everything. And now if we come back to our automation here, we've already got the response from the toolkit here. If you haven't yet, you can always test the trigger to see if something's coming through. Here we go. We got a status code 200. That means it was successful. So now all we need to do is update Airtable with our video. So we'll come here to the table, go to videos, and we will go to the body. Scroll down. We're going to use the ID. Again, remember, we passed the record ID to the toolkit so that when it was done, it could send it back to us so we knew which row to update. Now we'll go to the fields. We'll go to the combined video and we'll go into the body and we'll drop in the URL from the video. We'll go into the response. Here's the file URL. We'll grab it. We can go ahead and run as configured. We'll go ahead and turn on the automation, jump back to the data, and here is the combined video. So now we have that screenshot and now the AI video here.
Breaking AI news, revolution in AI agent.
All right, so now the final thing we need is that captioned video. So let's take a look at our automation here. So now if we run this workflow again, it's going to grab the updated row. And again, we have an error here because I believe this is an array, not a string. So we just need to update this to array does not exist. And I'm going to go ahead and fix this one as well to array. does not exist. And now all we need to do is finish this final path. Let's go ahead and run this one section again. Go ahead and move this out of the way, add an HTTP call. Again, we're going to use the NCA Toolkit, the free toolkit here that I'll show you how to install in just a bit. It also allows you to caption videos for free. We'll copy the settings from over here. It's a post. Again, we'll copy the URL. You're simply going to replace your new URL after you deploy it, and then you'll put this final piece on that URL, the v1 video/caption, authentication, generic, header auth. And again, the installation instructions will show you how to set up the authentication in your own API key. We'll look for the NCA Toolkit, send body using JSON below. Let's grab the JSON from the previous automation. So again, you can just copy everything as it is here. But I should mention, if you want to get access to these automation templates, so you can simply download them and import them along with the production Airtable database, make sure to jump into the No Code Architects community. You'll find all of these and a whole lot more inside the classroom and inside this course here where I store all of my N8N templates. But back to this automation here where we're generating the captions. Here are all the settings for the captions. We're setting up the colors and the font size and which font we want to use and the style. There's a whole bunch of different settings that you can set up with the NCA Toolkit to personalize the videos and the captions. For the ID here, again, we're going to pass in the record ID from Airtable. And we're going to need another webhook URL for when the video is complete. Jump over to Airtable, go to the automations. We'll create a new automation. When webhook is received, copy. We'll drop that down here. Now we should be able to come back here and execute this step. Looks like it's executing successfully. So now we just need to wait for the captions to generate. This will take a little bit more time than it took to do the AI video overlay on the screenshot, but it shouldn't take too long. When it's done, it's going to come back here and we'll be able to finish the rest of this automation. There we go, pretty quick. So now we can come over here. We'll do an update. Again, we'll set up the table videos. Record ID will be from what the toolkit sent back to us. Then we just need to update the fields. And now we're going to have the final captioned video go into the body. And here's our captioned video. Run as configured, run test. Again, don't worry about those errors. It's just telling you that it can't render it in that view. Go back to data. Now we've got our captioned video. So we got the captions, the screenshot, and the AI video.
Breaking AI news. Revolution in AI.
Now, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It tells me what type of content you want more of. All right, so now that we've built out the main part of the system, I'm going to go ahead and give you some tips for recording your avatar with the green screen. And then I'm going to go ahead and install the NCA Toolkit. This is the toolkit that I showed you before. And then I'm going to swing back to the RSS Feed automation that I had showed you at the beginning of the video. So now when you sign up for HeyGen, they are going to give you instructions on how to upload an avatar. It's quite easy. You just sit down in front of the camera and you look at the camera and you record yourself talking to the camera. Then you just upload that video and then they generate the avatar. You can see one of the videos that I created before. Now, when it comes to the green screen, you do the same thing, except that you put a green screen behind you. So here you can see the video that I recorded for myself, but I did want to point out some of these little shadows here that you can see on the video that I recorded for myself. And then I wanted to point out that the final video that I uploaded to HeyGen looks a little bit different. You can see that the green color is a little bit different and that it's completely 100% solid with no variations. So now the reason why we had this slightly modified version after recording it is because when you're using the NCA Toolkit, if there are any shadows on that video, then it doesn't come out as well. So what I did was I just simply sent this video to my video editor and he did a quick edit, and your video editor should be able to do this as well. They simply took this video and doctored it up to produce this final video here. And you'll see in the automation in the NCA Toolkit where we actually layer the videos on top of each other that I have a color code in here right here. And this is the color code that our final video had here. So that is how the NCA Toolkit is able to isolate this section of the video and remove it and then replace it with the screenshot of the video. If you don't do that, the quality of the output video won't be as good, and there'll be some sections that just don't look as clean and well cut. But it's an easy process and any good video editor should be able to do it. I had my editor make a tutorial. You can find that in my school community with the templates. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and jump into how to install the NCA Toolkit. This toolkit is completely free. You just have to pay for the hosting. Now, the instructions I'm going to show you here in this video are to prioritize making this super easy for you. There are other ways to install this toolkit. If you go to GitHub and you look at the URL here and you scroll down, there are several different ways of installing the toolkit, and I outline that here. And I point that out because there are ways of installing this that can be very cost effective. The method I'm going to show you today is not expensive as well, but there are even cheaper ways of doing it. And then just keep in mind when you install this on DigitalOcean, which is I'm about to show you, you can install it for just an hour and then delete it, and then you will only have to pay for the time that you actually had it deployed. All right, so now to install the NCA Toolkit, I am in the DigitalOcean platform. If you don't already have an account, you'll want to sign up. Once you've created an account, you'll want to create a new project. I already have one here called APIs. I actually already have an NCA Toolkit already pre-installed, but I'm going to go ahead and install a new one. So I'm going to come up here to create, and we're going to go ahead and use the app platform, and we're going to create an app. For deployment source, we're going to go ahead and use container image, and we are going to use Docker Hub. For the repository, I'm going to jump over into my community and copy and paste this into that box. I'll link that in the description below, but you can also take a second and copy it from here, Stephen G. Pope / No Code Architects Toolkit with dashes, not underscores. And then for the image tag or digest, you'll just type latest. And then you can leave the credentials alone. Then you'll go ahead and click next. Now, because the name is a bit long, it's going to automatically show an error here. So we have to correct that here. We're going to go to edit, and we're simply going to remove that extra dash here. So now we're good to go. We're going to create a web service. Then we can go ahead and click close. And then for the size here, I'm going to go ahead and increase this to this $50 a month instance. Now, you don't have to create an instance that is this size, but for installation and just getting things going, I find it's easier just to pick something that's a little bit larger so you don't run into issues, but you can always experiment with picking a smaller instance. The size that you pick is going to determine how big of a file you can process and how long it takes. And so just for testing, it's nice to start off with something that we know that works and it's going to process everything fairly quickly. And again, this is the monthly price. So you can install this today and delete it literally 2 hours from now and not pay this entire amount. But it's just a lot easier to get up and running. I'm going to go ahead and move the containers to 1, and then we'll go ahead and close it. For deployment settings, you can leave those alone. For the network, you can leave that alone. Now, we do need to add in a few different variables. So I'm going to go ahead and click edit. Make sure that when you add these, you do it just as I do, and make sure you don't have any spaces before or after the values that you put here. And make sure you're using underscores and not dashes. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see people make as they're trying to set this up. I'm going to go ahead and type API underscore key. And for testing, I'm going to go ahead and use test 1, 2, 3. This is something that you'll want to change later. We'll go ahead and add another environment variable. Next, we're going to use S3 underscore endpoint URL. Now, in order to get the value for this, we do need to come over to the spaces object storage and create a new space. I'm going to open up a new window just so I don't have to leave where I'm at now and lose all the work I've put in. I'm going to come over to spaces object storage. I'm going to create a new bucket. You can go ahead and leave New York as the default. And then for the bucket name, I'm going to put NCA install demo, and we'll leave it in the project that we created earlier. I'll go ahead and create the spaces bucket. Now from here, I'm going to head over to settings, and I'm going to create an access key. We're going to create full access. You can go ahead and give it a name if you'd like. I'm going to call it the NCA install demo-key. I'm going to create the access key. It's going to create it right here. Now it's only going to show this to you one time, so make sure you don't move away from this before you grab it. First things first, I'm going to grab the URL right here because that was the first variable that we were setting up. Going to come back to our setup here. For the S3 endpoint URL, I'm going to drop that here. Again, just make sure there's no spaces before or after. It'll save you a lot of time and trouble. Add new variable. We'll add the next key. This will be the S3 access key. And then for the value, we'll jump back to our new space and we'll grab the access key here, paste that into the value here in our server. Then we're going to add another variable. In this case, we are going to add S3 secret key. And we'll come back to our space. This time we're going to grab this key here and we'll drop that value right here. Again, just make sure there's no spaces before or after. We'll save you a lot of time on both the key and the value. Then we'll go ahead and add another variable. This time for the key, we're going to use S3 bucket name. We'll come back to our bucket. We can copy this into the value. Again, make sure there's no spaces before or after on both sides. Then we got one more variable to add. This is going to be the S3 region. And then for this, the value will be NYC3. Again, just make sure there's no spaces before and after. Once you're done, you can come back. Once you have the region, the bucket name, the key, the access key, the endpoint, and the API key, you can go ahead and click close. You can leave this part alone. For the region, go ahead and pick San Francisco. And then you can go ahead and pick a unique name if you'd like. Otherwise, you can use their default. And from there, you can go ahead and create your new app. Now, this is going to take a few minutes to deploy the first time. Go ahead and wait. Every once in a while, I have found that I had to refresh the screen to actually see that it was done. Go ahead and wait till it's done, and then we can move on to the next step. All right, so once you see this, you know your app is live. A couple of things to point out before I show you how to test to make sure it's working. You can always look at the overview here. It gives you a bit of information about your server. You can also check out the insights. This is going to show you the CPU and the memory utilization so that you can detect whether or not your server is overloaded or if something is wrong. You can also check out the runtime logs. You should see something like this at this time. When the API calls are coming through, you will be able to see them here and you'll be able to monitor how they are operating. And then you also have the console here, which allows you to actually log into your server and type commands, but you probably won't need to use this. And then of course you have the settings for this server. So now in order to test this, what I recommend doing is going to a service called Postman. I'm going to open up a new tab here. I'm going to go to postman.com. You're going to want to sign up for a free account. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. I'm going to use a Google account. And now this is pretty much an empty workspace. Now in the description below, I gave you a link to a Postman URL that will give you access to something that looks much like this. And what this is it's a template to not only help you test to make sure that the toolkit is installed, but it's also a set of pre-made APIs that you can test and explore. So the toolkit does a lot more than just transcribe videos and create SRT files or create captions. It allows you to do a lot with advanced media manipulation, concatenating videos, clipping, cropping, creating thumbnails, adding logos to videos. You can draw text on videos or images. You can transform video into audio. So make sure you explore all the different features that the toolkit will allow you to do. For now, we're going to focus in on making sure that the authentication is correct and that this test endpoint is working correctly. Again, there's a link in the description below. Once you're logged into Postman, you can come up to your browser and drop in that link. You're going to see that version 1 and all the different tests along the left-hand side here. If you come up to the 3 dots here, you will be able to create your own fork. Go ahead and click on that. It's going to ask you to name your fork. Go ahead and do that and then fork the collection. It's going to load up that new collection here. You can go ahead and expand this and then go ahead and expand the toolkit. These are the 2 endpoints that we need to test just to make sure everything is working as expected. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to environments. Let me expand this a little bit here so we can see everything a little bit better. We're going to come up to environment. We're going to create environment. You can rename it if you'd like right here. You can just type DigitalOcean. Now we're going to add a couple of variables here. One of them is going to be x-API-key. And then for the initial value, you're going to want to put in the test123, which is what we set in our environment variable when we set up the toolkit. So here you're going to type test123. That's going to copy over to the current value. And remember, it's x-API-key, not underscores. And I'm pointing that out because the next one we're going to add it, which is base_URL, is a little bit different. So here we're going to type base_URL. We're going to jump back to our DigitalOcean server. We're going to grab this URL right here, copy link address, come back to Postman. We're going to drop that into the initial value. That's going to copy over to the current value. And then we're going to make sure to save this, because if you don't save it, then it won't register. So make sure you save it. Once you save it, you should be able to come down to the authenticate, and this should now be gray. If for some reason it's still red, then you can always just cut and paste this URL directly into that test here. So you could erase this and just put the URL directly. It's a lot nicer to use the environments because under all of these different examples here, it will use this environment and it will insert that dynamically. Same goes for the headers. If I come to the header here and we have the X API key here, that value is coming through here so that you don't have to cut and paste that into every single one of all of these different examples, which would be a pain. But you can come into the headers here and just type in the value test123, or you could copy that URL directly into this box here. So I'm going to go ahead and test this. We'll click send. As long as you see a success, then you are good to go. If not, then that likely means that either this base URL is wrong or the API key that you set up when you deployed this server is different than what you have set up in this environment variable here. But I'm using the same things that I've told you to use test123, so it should be the same thing as long as you're doing exactly what I'm doing. So once you do the authenticate, again, you click send. As long as you see success, you're good to go. Now all you need to do is come down to test. Again, you're going to see this as a gray variable as well as in the headers. Now we can go ahead and click send, and you should see a success. It's going to give you a test file here. If you go ahead and copy and paste this into your browser, it should download it. If you open that up, here we should see you have successfully installed the NCA Toolkit API. Great job. As long as you're seeing that, you're good to go and you can move on with the video. All right, and now that you have the NCA Toolkit installed, you can jump back to this main part of the automation where we built out the entire video all the way through to the caption video. You can come back here and finish this section. If you need to go back to earlier parts in the video and complete that, that's fine. When you come to this section of the video, your URL from DigitalOcean or from wherever you have installed this is going to be right here. And then you're going to add this section here. And then of course, you're going to use the generic credential type and then the header auth. And then you're going to create your own credential. I'll go ahead and create a new credential. You're going to put here, you're going to put x-API key, and then you're going to go ahead and put the key that you used here when setting up your toolkit. I often use test123, so you would put that here in the value, you would save it, and then you would be able to go ahead and execute that here in NNN and complete that specific task, whether that's combining the AI video and the screenshot or adding the captions to your video. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about this section of the system, which is the part of the system which actually downloads all of these articles. So in our demo here, we had an original article that we used to generate the text, to generate the screenshot, to generate the script, the AI video, the combined video, and then the caption video. So then the question becomes, okay, how do we get all of these blog URLs on a daily basis so that we can generate these videos right when they come out? Because if you're doing breaking news, you want to be able to scan for these articles on a regular basis, automatically generate all these videos, and then publish them. So the way this automation works here is that we have this schedule trigger, and you can really schedule this to run as often as you want. And then it is going over to Airtable, and I have another table here where you can add in additional feeds. So this table here is set up so that you can add in all of the different RSS feeds for all of the different sources that you want to monitor. So for example, I have the RSS feed for N8N, and for Anthropic, and also for OpenAI. So then what happens here is that when you run this trigger, it will load up all of those rows and get those specific RSS feeds. So if we open up this module here, we can see that we have 2 items here, and we have 2 different RSS feeds. Currently, I'm filtering it by which feeds are active. And then from here, we take these RSS feeds, and then we use this module here to get the articles from those RSS feeds. Now, there is a module here that is simply updating the row just to keep track of the last time we ran this automation so that we only pull in the new articles. And then in this column here, we're keeping track of which feeds that are actually active. That's why we only had 2 feeds here. If we were to turn this to active as well and come back to our automation, we're going to see that we have 3 items. There we go. And then we can use the RSS module in N8N to go ahead and download those articles. We'll go ahead and execute the step. And then you can see here that we have 65 different articles that it pulled back. And then in this module here, we're removing all of the old links. So again, we're using that last runtime that we have here in the database to make sure that we don't keep pulling back the same article and running that over and over and continually making these same videos over and over. So we filter out only what's new. Looks like we have 4 new articles. So if I come back to Airtable and we look at our news, we've got all the way up to 21. So I'll come back here and we'll run this. And now we've got 4 new articles that we can actually create videos from. Now, if you want access to this pre-built Airtable with all of the functionality with the RSS feed, including this automation and this automation completely built out already for you. Make sure to jump into the No Code Architects community. It's an engaged group, and inside the classroom, inside the templates here, you'll be able to get access to the Airtable base and these automations so you can simply import those. And then as well, inside the community, we have calls almost every single day to help you with your automations and your automation business. So I'd love to see you inside the community. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.